Hey everyone, Brandon Long here, and I have some awesome information that I've created for you. It's my presentation called Macronutrients, Protein, Carbs, and Fats. What you need to know about them by me. So the reason why I created this is so I can educate and inspire people so that they have a resource so that they can learn exactly what protein is, carbs, and fats. So here we go. And the first thing I would like to go into is the actual energy that your body gets from consuming protein, carbs, and fats. So protein and carbs are exactly the same, 4 calories per gram. Fats is 9 calories per gram, and alcohol is 7. So there is calories associated with alcohol, but it doesn't have any nutrients. Okay, protein. Is it all about meat? Absolutely not. There are plenty of different sources of protein, but first, here we go. There's a myth that says we can only digest 40 grams of protein at a time. That's completely absurd. What it is actually what's the optimal amount of protein to make us anabolic? That would probably be a better question. And 40 grams is the optimal amount. But does that mean we don't absorb it or digest it and utilize it? Absolutely not. So, what is protein's role? Protein's role is used for enzyme production, protein synthesis, and is considered an essential nutrient, meaning our body does not produce protein. Some great sources of protein is turkey, beef, pork, whey, casein, soy, tofu, legumes, and nuts. So, TEF, thermic effective food. You may wonder what this is. Well, what this is there's certain foods that you can consume that will burn more calories to absorb, digest, and utilize that food. So what is it? Protein. So you may think, oh wait, how does it do that? Well, the actual value of protein is more like 5 grams, but because of the energy loss, it's considered 4. So by consuming more protein, your body will burn more calories. Period. Alright, carbs. Carbs. You may be wondering, is carbs all about bread and pasta? No. Check this out. So, carbohydrates, the good and bad side. What exactly are carbohydrates? Well, carbohydrates are small glucose molecules linked together in various sizes. You have the smallest denominator, the glucose chain. If there's 2 of them or 3 of them or multitudes of them, they create different carbohydrates. So some different forms that they come in are fruits, vegetables, pastas, breads, oats, grains, candy, and fiber. You may ask, what's the best option for me? I'll get right to that. Good carb, bad carb, we're the good guys. No, we're the bad guys. So, okay, here's a little explanation on the different effect that on the left hand side good carbs has and the effect that on the right hand side the bad carbs have. Okay, so on the left hand side you see slowly digested carbs, and you'll see a few things. You'll see the blood glucose level rise directly after consumption, and then you'll see the insulin line follow it directly, and then you'll see the hours after eating. So it keeps a certain amount of glucose in your blood even after hours and hours upon after eating. Okay, so on the right hand side you'll see 2 quickly digested carbs, the bad carbs, and you'll see how huge that spike is, and then you'll see the insulin follow and taper off. But what will you see happen to the glucose level? Boom, it'll drop. So typically when you have this drop, that's the point of when you crash. Okay? More on that in a second. Okay, good carbs versus bad carbs. Why carbohydrates matter to you. Over the last 10 years, opinions have ranged wildly on carbohydrates. Some diets promote carbs as healthy, while others shun them. So are carbohydrates good or bad? The short answer is they're both. So what are some other sources of carbohydrates? breads, cereals, rice, pasta, nuts, seeds, vegetables, fruits, milk, dairy, juice, soda, candy, and desserts. So, the difference between the good carbs and the bad carbs is complex carbs versus simple carbs, and good versus bad. Why is good good? The reason why it's good is because it's high in fiber and nutrients, it has a low GI, it'll help you feel fuller with fewer calories, and it'll actually naturally stimulate your metabolism. The reason why simple carbs are bad is because typically simple carbs are processed carb foods that have been stripped of their natural nutrients and fiber to make them consumer friendly, or at least last longer on the shelves. If you notice, if you go to the grocery market, all the things that last forever are simple sugars. Simple sugar type of treats, so sodas, cookies, candy, all that stuff. So it's typically lower in fiber and nutrients, high on the GI scale, empty calories converted to fat, and high blood glucose levels, leaving you tired. Okay, starchy carbs is high on the glycemic index. So what is a glycemic index? So the glycemic index is what was created so that diabetics could understand, oh, this food is going to have my insulin response high, so that it's going to absorb all of my sugar, so I'm going to have low blood sugar, and that's really dangerous for diabetics. So they're going to stay away from the foods that are high GI. But the ones that are low GI are actually much better for diabetics, although they still have to be mindful of their sugar intake. What does this mean for you? So the same foods that are bad for them are actually bad for us as well. So white bread, certain sugary cereals, white rice, and white pastas. Complex carbs equal low GI. So what sources are these? Fruits, veggies, whole and minimally processed grains, and legumes. Moving on to the last macronutrient, fats, lipids, and oils. So what is the role of fat? A couple different things that it does. One, the fat you consume, it's the precursor to the hormone production. So hormones like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. Fat is actually the building block of hormones, and actually it's cholesterol too. Certain vitamins and minerals are fat soluble, meaning it's stored in fat, and it's the densest energy source because it has twice the amount of energy as protein and carbs. So what are some great sources? Avocados, walnuts, nuts, coconut oil, and olive oil. So some different kinds, saturated and unsaturated. So you'll have a couple different types of saturated and a couple different types of unsaturated. The one you really want to avoid, though, is trans fat. Trans fat was created, it's brand new fat actually, it was created through the process of having foods preserved, of preserving foods. So meaning, for example, peanut butter. Something that I always recommend is always get organic peanut butter. Why? Hydrogenated oils is found on the ingredient label of most mainstream peanut butters. So you'll find Skippy, Jiffy, and essentially what they do is they blast the fat with hydrogen molecules, and they actually change the genetic structure so that the saturated fat is transitioning to the unsaturated fat is transitioning to saturated fat, but gets somewhere caught in the middle, and that's where you have your transitional fat or your trans fat, and it's actually unknown, and it's really bad to the body. Last but not least, nutrition label. So what I've done here is I've already taken the 5 grams, the 26 grams, and the 20 grams and put it in order, and put the energy value of each macronutrient right by it, so that we can actually add all the calories and see where they come from. So 5 grams times 9 is 45, 26 grams times 4 is 104, and 20 grams times 4 is 80. So you add this all up, 229. You can kind of see the difference. 232, 229 is pretty close, right? Really, really close. Anywho, that's all the information I have for you today. Thanks again for taking the time out to listening to my video, and hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. Peace.